All right, here we have a walkthrough for a portfolio management question for CFA level 1. This is from the self-test from one of the Kaplan-Schweizer books back in something like 2011 or 2012, but the concepts are still relevant. So we're going to do this walkthrough, and hopefully it helps show candidates all the different, there's a lot of different skills involved in this one. And this is a really good question because it combines a lot of different formulas and theories that you're going to have to know about. So this is a great practice question here. That being said, it would probably be a little lengthy to show up on the exam. It would definitely be one of the harder ones if it did. But knowing that you can do all of these different pieces and put them together to come up with the correct answer is a really, really good sign for those of you who are studying for level 1. So an analyst has estimated the returns for an asset conditional on the performance of the overall economy are, we have economic growth is either going to be poor, average, or good. And in that case, we have a 20% or a 40% probability for either of the two outcomes. And then we're given a return for each state of the economy. This is for the returns for an asset, so a risky asset. And then down here, they're giving us the same thing, but this is for the market portfolio. So this is for the risky asset, like maybe it's an individual stock. Well, it probably is because we're dealing with beta here in CAPM. But then here we've got the return expected on the market. And they've made it a little tougher by giving us the conditional probabilities, but that's not too hard to work through. So we've got our returns, our probabilities, and our names for our economic states that could happen. So according to the CAPM, if the risk-free rate is 5% and the risky asset has a beta of 1.1, with respect to the market portfolio, the analyst should sell, and then it talks about why. They should buy, and then we talk about why, and then sell, and we talk about why. So if it turns out that based on the information we're given, we're going to buy, we don't need to worry about the why. We know that there's only one answer for buy, so we know it's going to be B. So we need to first make our determination for a buy or sell, and then we're going to look into why we are how we're going to justify that, decision. So to start with, we have the CAPM formula. CAPM is equal to the risk-free rate plus beta times expected return on the market minus, again, the risk-free rate. So you'll notice what we're given here. We've got 5%. So we've got our risk-free rate here, 5%. We're given beta, 1.1. We've got risk-free rate again here, but what we're not given is this expected market return. So remember, CAPM is the same thing as required return. So this is what we need to calculate here. We need to come up with an expected return on the market to fill this in. We're given all the information here that we need. Remember, this is the expected return on the market portfolio. So the way we do this is we multiply the probability of each economic state by the return that's going to happen, and that will give us the average of what we can expect. So for starters, we have 2 times 20%. So 0.02 times 20, that's going to give us 0.4. We've got 10% of 40%, same thing, that's going to give us 4. And then we've got 15% of 40. That's going to be the same as 10% of 40, but plus half of it. So 4 plus 2 gives us 6. So add these all up, we've got 0. These two together make 10. So we've got 10.4%. So this is what we're expecting. This is what we're expecting to get ahead of time without knowing which economic state is going to occur, we know on average we're going to get 10.4%. So that's going to be our input here, 10.4% minus. We also need to do the same thing here. We've got 5% of 20. That's 1%. We've got 10% of 40, same as it was down here. I'm going to hold off on the percent sign so it just doesn't get too crowded. Then we've got 14% of 40. This one's a little tougher. You might want to use your calculator for this one. 5.6. And also I should point out that this type of percentage calculations, these types of calculations are absolutely essential for CFA candidates. So you definitely want to be really good with these. If you don't feel comfortable, you got to go back and practice taking certain percents of numbers, because that's just huge for finance. So 1 and 4 makes 5. 5 and 5 is 10. So we're getting 10.6 here. So this is our expected return on the risky asset. So is that enough? Let's find out. According to the CAPM, we're going to get the required return. So let me get rid of this. We're going to put in an actual number where the required return goes. So here we've got, we'll simplify this a little bit, 5% plus 1.1 multiplied by 10.4 minus 5. That's going to give us 5.4%. So 5.4 times 1.1, you should get 5.94. We're going to add back that 5% risk-free rate, and we get 10.94%. So what is this telling us? Here, we're saying that if we're going to invest in this security, this risky asset, as savvy investors, we expect at least 10.94%. What does our conditional expected return tell us that we're going to get? Well, for the risky asset, we're told that we're going to get 10.6 right here. So 10.6 is what we expect to get, but what we really want is 10.94 given how risky this asset is. So right away, we can just say, this is not looking like a good deal. Our expected return does not live up to our required return. So that tells me that we're not buying, we're going to sell. So we can get rid of B. All right, so let's talk about why. So choice A, we're going to sell or sell short. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. We're going to sell the risky asset because its expected return is less than the equilibrium expected return on the market portfolio. Sounds okay? So we'll come back to that. Or C, we're going to sell the risky asset because its expected return is not sufficient to compensate for its systematic risk. All right. So I would encourage you to pause the video and try to think through this yourself. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about which one is correct and why. So what are we saying here with answer choice A? Sell the risky asset because its expected return is less than equilibrium expected return on the market. So if this was true, we're saying that the expected return of the risky asset is less than the expected return of the market portfolio. So let's see, is that true? We've got expected return of the risky asset of 10.6%. And then we've got the expected market return of 10.4%. This is actually not true. 10.6 is greater. So we're not selling it because the return of the risky asset is less than the market. It's actually more than the market. So this is an incorrect answer. So we know it has to be C. We're selling the risky asset because its expected return of 10.6, it is better than the market return. Anyone would rather have 10.6% versus 10.4 if you're a rational investor. That's true. But based on how much riskier this stock is than the overall market, is this extra 2%, I'm sorry, 0.2% or 20 bips, is this enough given how risky the asset is? And the asset has a beta of 1.1, so it's 10% more risky as compared to the market. So being that much riskier, we need more than 10.6%. In fact, we calculated that we need exactly 10.94%. So systematic risk, that's captured here by beta. So we're saying that the return is not enough given how risky this stock is. C is your answer.